So good morning. I'm here at the fourth floor garage area where we're gonna be doing some car drawings. I'm gonna be doing some demonstrations, of course. And this is mainly for my students in my freehand class, freehand drawing class. So yeah, I found some cars here. They're a bit. Okay, let's have a look. Some Jeep and some sedans, and we're gonna be doing this step by step. So this is based on the, with some of the lessons that we've already learned, like lines, doing good lines, angles, proportion, good shape, correct shapes, and a bit of shading would be done. And I found one of the cars here, ideally for our sketch. So our subject matter is a sedan. It's a Honda Civic, and looks like they're all facing the wall, and so therefore we're gonna do some 3/4 view of the backside, with the backside and the one of the sides of the car. Let's do the best we can with this sort of setup. So I brought my sketchbook. So we're going to be dedicating one page horizontal in demonstrating this drawing of this car, a white Honda. So first off, I think if generally speaking, if we take a look at the car, if we're gonna draw the orthographic drawing, okay, I'm just gonna draw the ground line first. Okay, oops, it's not so straight. And if we try to draw the ground, the rear side of this car, can always put it in a cube. Okay, normally a car sedan is, if we're talking about in relationship to a person, it would be this high only. So it's roughly around somewhere in the neck or in the shoulder area of a person. And how wide would that be? The car is slightly okay. So I just drew a square. That square would be something like in the vicinity of let's say 1.5 by 1.5. So a car is normally roughly nearing 2 meters. So I'm gonna so this is roughly 0.75, and let's just say that a car's width is roughly here. So I'm just going to widen this. So the center of this rectangle now is somewhere there. So this is roughly the proportions of, say, the rear side or the front side. So what about the side? So I'm just going to draw the boxes for the meantime. So here I'm going to draw roughly about 3 squares. Okay, I'm just going to continue this, and maybe I need to kind of adjust this a bit. So roughly 3 squares, right? So that's the thing. That's the proportions of somehow I'm looking at the car, and the shape or the profile of this car is something that it's a bit curvious on the top, or the hood. The hood is here, and the top of the car somewhere there. So the design, looking at the design and just observing the shape of it, roughly the tail end or the back of the car is somewhere there, and it goes up like that, and it's a bit smoother on the top, and on the front side it's curving something like this. So it's about 1/3 of this, roughly there, and the lights or the front of the car is something like 2/3 from the ground. Anyway, and I'm looking at it via proportion, so another third from the ground of the height. Okay, I'm just gonna put that in, and I can see the wheels, where the wheels are. They're somewhere roughly here, slightly here. So I'm just gonna draw a circle. It's a bit too small. I'm just gonna make it bigger. So this is the first stage when you're going to be sketching the car, is to draw up the observe the proportions, and take a look at where the wheels are in connecting to which part, or at what area of the car would that front wheel is, I mean, in relationship to the front. So I'm just gonna do this. Here I can see that halfway is where the underside of the car is, and it has this area of space where so that the wheel has this space in between the body, like so. And here I'm just going to draw out the underside of the car. So now I can just, based on this, okay, so here the door shape of the this is a 4-door car, so I'm just deciphering where the side glass are. Okay, here I'm just gonna, so basically this is the shape of the car on its side. Okay, so I could just draw in some of the details here, like the backlight, where the front light is, for example, it's here. Bumper shape, it's doing like that. Side mirror is something here, and it's like that. So by way of just looking at the proportions, I'm just going to correct some of these things. It's fairly easy to just take a picture, yes, but it's something else looking and observing the proportions live. So you get this shape, and somehow, yeah, that's a proportion. Right. What about the backside? Well, the backside, you can hold on a minute. I'm just gonna shift the camera angle for a meantime. So the backside is relatively just leveling up what you have done so far. So the top of the car. Observe first the shape of the side and how it's. And this is going like that, and that is curving a bit more towards there. And it's curving on the top, and backside is doing this. Okay, I'm doing this standing up and just looking at the car's profile. Okay, and just like flat, and just observe where the lines are, and that's one of the lower tail lights. And this is the bumper, it has this hinge for towing. And then the main backlights. Okay, so there's the emblem of the car first, and then the tail lights, and doing as such. Now, if you have a chance to observe the front of a car, you can also do the profile or orthographic drawing of it. So the wheel is somewhere there underneath, and the license plate numbering is something like this. So again, I stress that you should do this live and not based on pictures. It becomes more meaningful. Okay, I'm just gonna adjust some of the profile. It's more like that. Okay. Okay, so that's the Honda Civic sedan type. Now we're gonna try to do the perspective drawing of this. Again, this is based on past lessons, and just hold on. This guys. So for the purpose of having this much more clearer and with better lighting so that everyone can see it on video, I came back here in the classroom. Okay. Anyway, this is based on, again, on stuff that we've already learned. So for example, I have taught you to always draw with a horizon line, with the height of a person always present at the horizon, in which case the horizon line is key in proportioning everything. So I have given a bit of dimensions to the car. So I'm just assuming that this is about, if the height, based on height, if this height is 1h, and so therefore the approximate length of the car is about 3h, right? So here I've subdivided where the lower part of the car is into third, and divisions of the height of the car to be divided into 3 equal spaces. So that's very important to know. So now I'm trying to draw the perspective view of this car. So I'm just gonna draw first the box that it's caged in right now, based on all of this information that we've done. So here, I'm just gonna go and shift that there. So I'm going to establish that this is going to be 1h. So it's slightly lower than a person's height, eye level, which is the horizon line. And if this is the height, and remember we have some sort of proportioning, let's make it something like half height for the proportions of this side. So this is in perspective view, and we need about 3h more here for the in perspective. How do you decipher that? Well, if 3h, okay, if we count 3h, it's something like here, and we count like probably 80% of that, and something like that. So therefore I can determine now the length of that. This is all from previous lessons that we learned about drawing the table and a bit of that animation machine we just did, and so there. Well, how do you determine this then? It's roughly 90% of the height, which is 1.5 meters. That would 90% is something like this, from the horizon line to that establishes the ground. Now it's a bit confusing to some. Okay, I'm relating this to first the height, so that I can establish these points where the ground points are, where it's coming up. And then this is roughly about 1.2, so I'm deciphering that. So this becomes then a trajectory to where the far away vanishing point is. So it's really far away, it's off paper, and we need to imagine that this top of the line of the box is going to sort of like disappear into one point somewhere that is parallel to this line. So again, I have extensive explanation on how this system works. And now we need to kind of subdivide this into three equal spaces in perspective. But it the easiest is just deciphering or just making an estimate how this looks like in perspective. So this is a bit shorter than this, the rest, and such. So it's here. It's a bit wider. It becomes shorter or narrower towards the end. So I'm just correcting that. And then the next thing is let's do all the see-through like a real box. What it should look like if it's an X-ray box. So here, this is related to, okay, so this is going towards VPX. Okay, vanishing point X. So this is the X-axis. So this is going towards that same vanishing point, towards X vanishing point. So I'm just gonna ghost that a bit. Just this one goes to X also. So anything along the Y, this is the Y. So this is going to the Y, along Y-axis. Okay, here, this goes to the vanishing point. Yeah. Where they intersect, that's how you decipher where the other face of that box is. So there you go. So we have that line. Pretty much this is the construction of this, the box of this car. So again, we're trying to replicate the boxes that are existing here, except that this is a bit more extended. Okay, this is 1.2H. So how do you decipher 1.2H? This is 1, that's 0.5. I need a 0.2, so therefore I'm just going to go in half that again. That's roughly 0.25, so it's slightly lower, and so therefore it's somewhere here. Okay, so it's there. But then how do you decipher where the mid or the center line of this? It's easy. You just create a very faint X by doing diagonal lines, and that establishes where the center of the car is. That sets a tone to everything. So that corner is adjusted again. I'm sorry, I have to adjust this accordingly, and that becomes there. It's kind of messy, you know. But then this is the entire box. Anyway, so once this is established, now you can do like the section profiles for this card. For example, you can do the cross section of this. So I'm just gonna go and create this box so I can draw the profile of the car. So I'm just, from the previous orthographic drawing that we just did based on observing the car, I'm gonna replicate it here in the middle plane. So this is like a section plane of that orthographic drawing. So the wheels are here. So I'm drawing this in perspective, following all the vanishing points. Okay. So it's something like that. And then what about the cross section of the car? So I'm just gonna go and do the midsection of this profile. So this is the box where and there's a lot of lines, I know. 1/3, okay, 1/3, and then you sort of like replicate where the profile of the car is going. So this is the mid. So I have to adjust it here. So this is the midpoint. It's supposed to be 1/3 here. That's the car's headlights and the such. So anyway, you could replicate that 1/3 divisions and replicate it like such. And the wheels are here. And the wheels are. So this is like the mid two planes. Tell you what, I think I need to make some coloring so that you can know what I'm talking about. So hold on. So I'm gonna make some color codings. So for example, this plane is gonna be colored in this teal blue, so that you know what I'm talking about. The section. Okay. Then for the longitudinal elevation, I'm going to color it orange. So I'm going to use this orange color to note the section. There you go. So just this color coding. So using the same orange, we'll have a look at what I'm meaning in terms of what I just sketched. Okay, so here I'm spread the bit of color. That's the wheel, and there you go. So that's in perspective. This is on the center plane. So it's a cross section of the car that, right? I'm just gonna wait for it to dry a bit, and then I'll color in where the this elevation is. So we'll continue with the this middle cross section. Okay, so I'm overlaying it over so that you could understand where this thing is in relationship to the perspective, the mid section of it. And there you go. So I'm just intensify the. Those are the lower. Those are the wheels here, and this is the cross section or the top area of the car. Okay, here we go. So, okay, I'm just gonna wait for this to dry, and then we'll come back again. Alright, so now everything's kind of dried. So now I'm going to be projecting some of the things, elements that are, for example, this wheel is somewhere here. So based on the face of this and 1/3 of this, you can really start to know where things are. For example, this is on the face here, and then so basically, what I did first was to construct the box and knowing where the center profiles of the center planes of these two. Now you can really start to project what the car is in 3/4 of the view in perspective. So, for example, the this fin here on the middle of the car, which is 2/3, roughly about 2/3 height here, is on this plane of this box. So therefore, I'm just going to go in, again, associating it with the vanishing point. I'm just going to go in and project that line for the meantime, and I know that the back of the car is there. And to what length? I look at what I did in the orthographic. It's not all the way to the box, so therefore I'm just going to stop shy away from this edge of this corner of this box, and everything just follows. I mean, how is the curvature going here? I'm just going to go in and follow this, so it's going to kind of meet up. Okay, I'm just going to make this nice. And what about this side of the car? What's the profile? But you know, it's going in, it's not all the way there, so it's kind of, you know, do a profile of that. And what about the hood? Something like that, but not really going to that corner. Just the headlight here I'm just gonna go in and do the shape of the tail lights. Okay, it's supposed to be more like that. That's the midpoint. The bumper is somewhere there. And if you could really start seeing the shape based on, well, it's easier to look at it, I mean, to draw it out if you're going to be observing it actual. But right now I'm in the studio class, so that's easier for me to film this. So I'm just getting information from based on the orthographic views that I just created a while back, and I'm really starting to kind of make the shapes of this. Okay, so the tail light is all the way here actually, and then I go here underneath. It goes underneath, and then it has this space between the wheel and the body of the car. And the cars, okay, so this is 1/3. Halfway of that 1/3 is where the bottom part of the car is. So it's really starting to shape up. Okay, profile. I'm just going to correct this, and it's going like that. So here I'm just going to continuously draw this out based on the information, so you could really start to see the this is more of an analysis rather than something that is finally done picturesque, or something that you could just copy from a photo. But thing is, this is more of a structural type of drawing, where you're basing everything to the orthographic drawing you just drew from observation. And this is really the first phase of what you're trying to draw here. Of course, you can do this a bit more cleaner, but it's kind of pointless if you're just gonna do it picturesque. I could easily do that by just looking, but in this sense, you get an understanding of how to do it in perspective. So I'm gonna highlight some of the areas. For example, the tail lights, the red tail lights here. I'm gonna color it red. So I'm just gonna go get my watercolor. Let's get one of these reds. Okay, you could really start to see what I was trying to draw, illustrate. Right? So that's that, and then probably the windshields or the windows of the car are going to be drawn as such. I mean, rendered as such. So you can start to see the shape of the car. Right? The wheels underneath, just to show you. So I'm just going to get some blues. I'm going to call it blue. Okay, you can start to see. Okay, so I'm just going to get this indigo. And there you go. So one of the things that I'd like to see in your illustration is like the underneath shadow. Just a very slight gray, neutral gray type. So just to contrast what here it is. So basic sketch analysis of a car. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use non-grease paper, or better known to us as copia paper. It's not tracing paper per se. More of this translucent type. Here I'm just going to paste this. So this is based on what I already have done before. So just there, just put it there. Tape. Ngayon, the construction lines from before was done by way of proportion. which the video will tell you everything. Right? So we have the different, like for example, okay, the unit that I made that I use is h, which is the height of the car. So based on the height, I use those to proportion the car's length, and also of course the car's width. For example, the height is about 1.5 times height. This is based on everything. So what I did was I did the box. Remember how we did the box? I did the section. Okay, that's in the video. And then I did a rough in. Okay, it's better to do this live, yes, but in a way that you're thinking. And then after you've kind of know where things are, then that's a time when you do the very much more final line, which is clean, the outer line. Oops, I'm not. Can I have a pen? I have to re-ink this. So I can put that like this. Cleaner type of where things are, like the windshields, guys. From the plot that you made. Okay, this is, why is it on the rear side of the car? Because that's the only thing that's facing me. Everyone had to park their cars
Facing the wall.
Facing the wall. It's a rule. So it's there. The wheels are there. The proportion. The hood of the car. It's supposed to be like this. Can't see it anymore. If you're having a hard time to seeing it, you can flip and look exactly where things are. So it's supposed to be like this. And the door is somewhere like this, going like this. And then this separator like this. So I'm doing this very quickly, huh? And then you can use color coding, like what I would do in my video. Yes. But here, the details, you can see it, where the thing is, a little tiny detail. This is a lot easier than the machine. So I'd like you to do 3 versions, 3 different cars.
Oh, that's the bottom. Look the bottom.
So it's a car. Okay. This is the final drawing, and then you just put in your name.
No need the back and side view.
No need. For the side that you're observing, like the 2 sides that you're plotting. Remember the 40%,
Yes.
40,
Table.
40%. No, the first do the square. Remember, 40% of the cube, and then you have times 3, and then 80% of that, 90% of that is. And that's where you can determine.
Oh, yeah.
Diba? No one has taught you that in painting. That proportion. That's actually very
Perspective.
like something that somebody actually
Same
observed,
car.
and then like, oh, it saves a lot of time and better guessing. Okay, that's it then. This is the car. You do a black and white version, of course, thicker lines on the outer part. Oh, I don't have ink anymore. I have to re-ink this, and that's it.